In the kingdom of reggae music, the lion has always been sacred, symbol of strength, symbol of divinity, symbol of Rastafari itself. But what happens when two lions claim the same territory? 1973. Bob Marley records a song called Iron Lion Zion, a spiritual anthem about resilience and faith. 1976. Peter Tosh releases Lion, a militant declaration of power and warning to his enemies. Two former brothers, two reggae giants, two lion songs. But was one a subtle musical jab at the other? Was Peter Tosh, the most uncompromising voice in reggae, throwing down a gauntlet to his former bandmate who had become the genre's biggest star? Tonight, we dive deep into one of reggae's most intriguing mysteries. Did Peter Tosh's Lion serve as a direct response, or even a diss, to Bob Marley's Iron Lion Zion? The answer reveals not just a musical rivalry, but the complex dynamics of friendship, competition, and creative tension that shaped reggae's golden age. This is the story of two lions who once roared in harmony, but may have ended up competing to see who could roar the loudest. To understand the rivalry, we must first understand the brotherhood. In the Trenchtown ghetto of Kingston, three young men came together with a shared vision that would change music forever. Robert Nesta Marley, Winston Hubert McIntosh, who would become Peter Tosh, and Neville O'Reilly Livingston, known as Bunny Wailer, the original Wailers. Brothers in music, brothers in struggle, brothers in their newfound Rastafari faith. The three of them were like a perfect musical trinity. Bob had the melodic genius and natural charisma. Peter had the militant edge and incredible guitar skills. Bunny provided the spiritual foundation. Together, they were unstoppable. In Rastafari, the lion holds sacred significance. It represents Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian emperor revered as divine. It symbolizes strength, courage, and the power to overcome Babylon, the oppressive system they fought against through their music. For the young Wailers, the lion metaphor was more than symbolism. It was identity. They saw themselves as spiritual warriors, using music as their weapon against injustice and oppression. But even in those early days, those who knew them sensed different energies. Bob was the diplomat, the one who could charm anyone. Peter was the rebel, uncompromising and often confrontational. The question was, could three lions share one pride forever? Even from early, you could see Peter was different. Bob would try to keep things smooth, But Peter, him never back down from nothing. If him feel something wrong, him going speak about it, no matter who don't like it. The seeds of future tension were already being planted. In the Brotherhood of Lions, who would eventually emerge as the Alpha? 1974. The decision that would change everything. Chris Blackwell of Island Records offered the Wailers an international recording deal, but the focus would be on Bob Marley as the frontman. For Peter Tosh, this wasn't just business. It was betrayal. He'd been with Bob since the beginning, contributed equally to their sound, written many of their songs. Now he was expected to step back and become a backing musician to his former equal. Peter felt that Bob was selling out, compromising the revolutionary message for commercial success. He saw Island Records as another form of colonial exploitation, white executives profiting from black creativity. The split was inevitable. In 1974, both Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer left the Wailers to pursue solo careers. The brotherhood was broken, but the competition was just beginning. Bob Marley became reggae's global ambassador, the smiling, spiritual messenger who made the music palatable to international audiences. Peter Tosh became reggae's angry prophet, uncompromising, militant, refusing to soften his message for anyone. But the tension went deeper than business. It was philosophical. Bob preached one love and unity. Peter preached equal rights and justice, and demanded reparations. Both were lions, but they represented different aspects of the lion's nature. I don't sing to please nobody. I sing to tell the truth, and if the truth don't please you, then you living a lie. Peter never forgive Bob for leaving them behind. But Bob, him had to make that choice. The question is, did the music become a battlefield for their personal war? 1973. Bob Marley records Iron Lion Zion, a song that wouldn't be officially released until after his death, but circulated among reggae insiders for years. The message was clear: spiritual strength, resilience, and the promise of redemption. Marley's lion was iron, unbreakable, eternal, spiritually powerful. The song spoke of overcoming struggle through faith, of being strengthened by adversity. Classic Marley themes of hope and perseverance. But then, 3 years later, Peter Tosh released his own lion song. And this lion had very different things to say. Where Marley's Iron Lion was about spiritual resilience, Tosh's lion was about dominance and warning. His lyrics spoke not of overcoming through faith, but of being dangerous to those who would oppose him. Consider the difference in approach. Marley positioned his lion as defender, spiritual, protective, enduring. Tosh positioned his lion as predator, militant, warning, ready to attack. The word choices are fascinating. Marley's imagery is about being strengthened by struggle. Tosh's imagery is about being made dangerous by oppression. Same symbol, completely different energy. But was this merely coincidence? Two artists inspired by the same Rastafari symbolism, creating different interpretations? Or was Tosh sending a message? Listen to Tosh's delivery, the way he emphasizes certain words, the warning in his voice. Some scholars believe this wasn't just a song about being a lion. It was a declaration: I am the real lion. The timing is significant. Marley's song, though recorded earlier, was gaining recognition in reggae circles by 1976. For Tosh to release his own lion song at that moment, when he was establishing his solo career and Bob was becoming an international star, suggests this was no accident. In reggae culture, musical responses are common. Artists answer each other through songs. Given the tension between Bob and Peter at that time, it's entirely possible that lion was Peter's way of saying, "You may be famous, but I'm the fiercer lion." Peter Tosh was never one to hide his feelings. Throughout the mid-1970s, as Bob Marley's star rose internationally, Tosh became increasingly vocal about his former bandmate, and not always in flattering terms. People want to make Bob into some kind of saint, you know, but Bob is just a man like any other man. The difference is some man willing to compromise and some man not willing to compromise. Tosh's criticism wasn't just personal, it was artistic and political. He felt that Marley's international success came at the cost of reggae's revolutionary message. Where Marley sang about love and unity, Tosh demanded reparations and justice. But the relationship was more complex than simple rivalry. Even as Tosh criticized Marley, he also acknowledged his talent and impact. Those who knew them both describe a relationship of grudging respect mixed with genuine frustration. They were like brothers who couldn't live together but couldn't completely cut ties either. Peter did feel that Bob sell out the original vision, you understand? But deep down, Peter still loved Bob like a brother. The criticism come from disappointment, not hatred. Musical rivalries have always pushed artists to greater heights. Miles Davis and John Coltrane, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. Competition breeds innovation, and both Marley and Tosh seem to raise their game in response to the other's success. Marley's solo work became more internationally polished but retained its spiritual depth. Tosh's solo work became more militant and uncompromising, as if he was determined to occupy the space Marley had vacated. The question remains, was this healthy competition or destructive rivalry? Did their musical dialogue through songs like Iron Lion, Zion, and Lion represent artistic growth or personal animosity? When artists with shared history create seemingly related works, it often represents a conversation they can't or won't have in person. Music becomes their safe space to express feelings that might be too raw for direct confrontation. 47 years later, the debate continues. Was Peter Tosh's Lion a direct response to Bob Marley's Iron Lion, Zion? The reggae community remains divided. I've been studying reggae for 5 decades, and I can tell you this: every song connection isn't necessarily intentional. Sometimes two artists just tap into the same spiritual source. But you have to consider the context. Peter was trying to establish himself as a solo artist. Bob was becoming huge internationally, and they had this complex history. The timing of Lion suggests it was more than coincidence. Modern fans continue the debate online, analyzing lyrics, comparing performances, searching for hidden meanings that might reveal the true relationship between these two Lion songs. Some point to visual evidence, the artwork, the promotional materials, the way each artist presented their lion persona. Others focus on the musical arrangements, the subtle differences in rhythm and melody that might reveal intentional contrast. In reggae culture, musical responses are common. Artists regularly answer each other through songs, engage in musical conversations that their audiences can decode. Given this tradition, a response song wouldn't be unusual. It would be expected. Whether Peter meant it as a response or not, both songs represent different aspects of the lion spirit. Bob's Iron Lion is about endurance. Peter's Lion is about power. Both have their place in reggae. Perhaps the truth is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. Maybe Tosh wasn't dissing Marley as much as claiming his own space in the reggae kingdom. Maybe he was saying, there's room for more than one type of lion. Sometimes lions don't fight to destroy. They fight to establish territory, to prove dominance, to show the pride that there are different ways to be king. Today, both Iron Lion Zion and Lion are reggae classics, played at festivals worldwide, covered by countless artists, sampled in hip-hop tracks. The songs have transcended whatever personal rivalry may have inspired them. Bob Marley died in 1981. Peter Tosh was murdered in 1987. Both gone too soon, but their musical dialogue continues. New generations discover both artists without the weight of their personal history. For many listeners, the question of whether one song responded to the other matters less than what both songs represent. The power of reggae music to embody different aspects of strength, spirituality, and resistance. I love both songs for different reasons. When I need to feel grounded and hopeful, I listen to Bob's Iron Lion Zion. When I need to feel powerful and ready to fight injustice, I listen to Peter's Lion. They complement each other. The lion metaphor has remained central to reggae and Rastafari culture. Artists continue to invoke the symbol, drawing from both the Iron Lion's spiritual strength and the militant lion's fierce power. Perhaps this is the true legacy of both songs. They show that there are multiple ways to embody strength, multiple ways to fight oppression, multiple ways to be a lion in Babylon. Two lions, one musical kingdom. Whether Peter Tosh's Lion was a response to Bob Marley's Iron Lion Zion may never be definitively proven. But perhaps that's not the point. What we know is this. Both songs emerged from the same tradition, drew from the same symbols, spoke to the same struggles. Both represented men who refused to be anything less than they were. Proud, powerful, uncompromising in their own ways. Competition in art often produces greatness. Whether born from rivalry or simply parallel inspiration, both lion songs pushed their creators to define what strength meant to them, what resistance looked like in their voices. Bob Marley's Iron Lion endures, spiritual, resilient, calling for unity through strength. Peter Tosh's Lion endures, militant, uncompromising, demanding justice through power. Both needed, both valid, both part of reggae's complex soul. In the end, the reggae kingdom was big enough for both lions. Their roars echo still, sometimes in harmony, sometimes in counterpoint, but always with the power to wake up the world. Two lions, one love for the music, one love for the struggle, one love for the truth that only real lions dare to speak.